We're live.
We are live because,
We are live.
boy,
We
why
are live.
not? Hey, I got a message from you. Oh, and this one here. I never.
Did you now?
Yep.
What message did I send you?
No, you tried to call me when I was out mowing the lawn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would happen, yeah.
Hey, we got so much for you guys today. We do. It is, wow. Why are we not talking a lot? We're just not. We're getting ready.
Getting rowdy.
Rowdy Piper. Rowdy Burns.
Yeah,
what was the best Rowdy from any movie? Rowdy Burns or Rowdy? Well, I guess he wasn't.
Yes, quite. Should we create a poll today for everybody in the chat?
Maybe. What was the best Rowdy? I know one of the best lines from a movie.
I want to use it.
Yeah. I gotta look up something.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Yeah, he was in that other movie, Them. The line was, I came here to kick ass, chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, which also appeared in another video game.
Oh, yeah, Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem.
Yep. Classic. Not one for your kids, probably, but it's still a classic.
You know? Well, that's why this show's not made for children.
But we're all grown-ups now, so, there you go.
What in God's name? Have we been drinking? No.
Nope, just a Monday.
It is just a Monday. Corey is remote today because I asked him to, because I have special needs today. I think I'd get done. All right, we're going live in 20 seconds.
Okay. Ian.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, there we are. We actually made it with the music. Welcome, everybody. Not Your Average Show. Corey Mike with you, July 19th, 2021.
It is.
It is.
One niner.
My God. We got so much to talk to you about. Like tons to talk to you about today. It's really, really long title. How are you, Corey? What's going on with your Monday?
Doing well. Preparing for another day of rain because
it's been raining on off here.
It's doing here lately. So, but yeah, fine. Yeah.
I'm doing a tiny unboxing here for a minute. I didn't say anything about this, but I decided that
tiny unboxing. Does that mean the box is tiny, or
it's actually
it should take
really tiny? It's from a company called Small Rig, and if I think this is what I think it is, it is a.
True.
So we have the Sony ZV-1 that travels with us a lot, and it goes to all the shoots for the rocket launches and things of that nature. But let me tell you something. It's a delicate little girl, and so what I got was a new cage for it. So, and that cage allows us to change batteries and video cards, and it still gives us the opportunity to mount it to anything we want. So I got a small cage for it from Small Rig, a company that actually makes great products. So that's going to be mounted to the ZV-1. There you go.
ZV-1.
And it also comes with a hand. You can get a handle, so when you want to walk with it, and it's got a top handle. It's going to be a totally different monster. So I'm excited for that. Got a couple of the things here. Little boxes of today. So constantly importing things. Got some tempered glass screen protectors for it, so that should be cool. Anyhow. Also in the news, we the show made a massive purchase on, what was it, Friday?
I got a poll ready. About that.
What's the okay? What you gonna clue me in about that or no? What are you're already laughing about it? So what's the deal?
Well, you got to introduce the topic first. I can't just spill the beans.
Okay. Here we go. All right, everybody. So I'll just take it over from here. We got so much to talk to you about that we didn't really go through an intro, but this is one of the ones that is near and dear to my heart because, yes, in every way, shape, or form, we have acquired here on the show the rights, and we're talking about early day one release rights to a 512 gigabyte Valve Steam Deck. Top of the line. We have one on order here for the show. So just in case anyone thinks that we are pulling your leg, we are not, because just because I want to, in all honesty, show everybody what we've got here. Whoa, I'm on the wrong thing here. This is what we got. Check it out. This is the receipt. So we have one coming here, and we're excited because Corey and I were sitting there eating lunch on Friday, even though there was no show. We were hanging out, and we were really impressed because as soon as we got done with the show on Thursday afternoon, it was like literally minutes, and Corey sent me a message, and I'm like, "What's this?" He's like, "They announced the Steam Deck." I was like, "No, they didn't." I was like, and I just went in, and I was like, and I looked at the text message, I was like, "What?" I was like, "Damn, it's really powerful and way better than what we thought." Right. So, the first thing I said to him was, "Well, we'll have one." I was like, "There's no way I'm not getting that, because there's just too many games." But then the second part about it is the value that you get here, okay, and what they're promising you. Okay, so here's what they're basically promising you. They're promising you that at any level of system that you buy from them, from either $399 to $649, which is the one that we purchased, okay, there is going to be the ability to play this device, no matter what, 720p on all AAA titles across the Steam catalog. Okay. So that is number one, the most important thing, right? So, and when they said this, they said, look, we didn't really create something just to play the Steam library in and of itself. We created something in the mind of being basically a portable computer. And they actually mean it, because there's a place to put in a dock, but they said any Type-C dock will work with it, and you could hook it up to any peripherals. On top of hooking it up to peripherals, it'll support every standard piece of equipment that you could connect to a PC today, including external monitors, Ethernet, mouse, keyboard, whatever you want. So basically, this is a 720p AAA rated game, right? Now, they worked with AMD to put together one of the best APUs they could possibly find. And on top of it, it's going to support everything from ray tracing right down to the bottom. Supports 4 cores, but actually runs in an 8-core. I think it's some sort of hybrid 8-core mode, right? So where
I think so.
Well, that's what they said. It's going to kind of like emulate 8 cores, okay? And the specs beyond that, okay? One of the things that was really nice about it is the actual hardware itself actually has 2 different touchpads, okay, on board. I'm trying to find the picture that we had for that one. Because there's so many links that we have. So basically what they're saying is these 2 bad boys right here, the thumb pads, underneath the thumb pads are actually touch pads. Okay, so that's actually really cool. It's got a perfect layout. It's got 2 under the belly triggers on both sides. And tell me a little bit more, Corey, about what you found out, because that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of things you said are all things I also noticed too. Yeah, those touch pads are pretty nice. As far as the size, there's a few pictures of people holding it, and I don't think it's going to be too large. I wouldn't want a smaller screen because touchscreen, it is touchscreen too. I think you might not mention that. Maybe you did.
Oh yeah,
it is touchscreen. Which is pretty cool for
7-inch.
communication. Supposedly, because you said, to be able to run other things in addition to the game. The idea is hopefully you could maybe run like Discord or something through it, some kind of voice over IP for games that would have such a thing. I know, doing some research and preparing for today's article, that they're still working, and I haven't seen if they've fixed it yet, but they're still working on their anti-cheat software, so that hopefully before it's out in December, it can have the anti-cheat integrated and actually functioning as it should, which should lead it to be able to play other games that people would want to play, like Call of Duty, PUBG, things that really rely on anti-cheat stuff to really function properly, other than first person, or other than like single player games.
Right.
And then let's see. So yeah, I think it should be pretty nice to hold. They did mention you should get like 7 to 8 hours of battery life out of it if you're just playing. Just basic games, not the really super intensive games, or just maybe using it to surf the web and stuff. You should be able to get pretty good pretty good speed or range out of it, longevity. Um, they basically were saying that it basically runs like 60 hertz, or not 60 hertz, but pretty good frame rates
They're
basically all
saying
the time.
60. They did say 60.
Yeah. Without much supposed lag. That's what some of the early reviews I was seeing out of it too. And one of the things as well that actually I put a poll in chat about it as well, was talking about just the space to store, the storage space, and there were 3 different versions.
Right.
The basic version you see there, the $400 version, that's 64 gigabytes. The one of the main things to keep in mind about that was different that people have had questions about is it's a different kind of memory.
Right.
And so you can also notice on the 256 and 512 versions, it's NVMe SSDs. They're M2 form factor and they're internal. There was a correspondence from one of the guys at Valve that confirmed it is an M2 of the of a certain slot size. Here, I can get it for you. The 2230 module, so that's the size. And you can change it out if you chose to open the device. They didn't seem to say in their correspondence that you would not be able to, and they didn't seem to say they are encouraging you from not opening it, but they kind of also say you shouldn't replace it yourself. That particular the M2 internal.
Right. So here's the other thing, right? So important to note that's going to be important to people, because what they're also saying is that everything will be installable on this, right? So why the storage why the storage medium is going to be a huge deal for the entire marketplace is because in addition to the SSD that you're going to be able to put in like a 1 gigabyte, which will run slower obviously than NVMe, I think you're going to be able to support 2 gigabytes. And I looked up the prices for those. If you don't want to go with a super pricey one, you get 2 gigabytes for around $60 right now for a nice one that's going to give you the speed that you can play games off of it direct. And your library, obviously your AAAs will go on the NVMe, right? But when Corey mentioned this to me, I was like, what do you mean you can't? Like the storage, they said you could play games right off of it with a difference in speed between the two, right? But they don't want you cracking this thing open because, let's face it, it is chucked full of stuff inside of there that I wouldn't want to, because it's all motherboard based.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be comfortable with opening up something like this. But the fact that they're saying that, hey, if you want to go ahead and install whatever you want on it, it'll run. We don't care. We're not locking the system down. And I said to Corey, it's going to sell like hotcakes. If that's the case, this thing is going to sell out because everyone's going to want one.
And it certainly is.
Yeah, it's gone.
It did already.
Yeah,
it did already. And we have another link. Well, I'm sure we'll get to it, but we can pretty mention it. The scalpers are already doing their thing. So we've already seen some of that stuff. We have an article down below talking about that as well.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So on my end, it looks super cool. It's the next like upgraded version of the Switch. Right?
Yes.
Because the Switch really was a success because it really made the portable games for Nintendo work. And of course, there were some really big titles that really always flagship Nintendo new hardware releases, and that was the same case there with Zelda Breath of the Wild. And that really sold really well and really ran really well on that system. So it worked out in that case. But remember, Nintendo, it wasn't an open system.
No.
It runs Nintendo games. You go through their store to buy things through the same OS. So this is kind of, as they say, it's kind of like a mini PC in your hands. It's kind of, we hope it's the thing that Valve has tried before and didn't have a great result last time, but we're hoping it works out this time. And it looks like it's going to hit all the main marks.
I think so. And I mean, just by the design of it, and look, it's taken a long time for somebody to hit a home run in the portable gaming console market, right? And the only reason why we're so excited about this and super, super excited is because it's flexible. They're not locking you into their system where they're basically saying, this is all you're going to get from us and you can't change anything, which is great. Okay. They're saying that, hey, we're building this thing to last at least 2 to 3 years down the gaming cycle, which I'm sure then there'll be Steam Deck, 3 or 2 or whatever. They're building their own marketplace for this. But the design of it is really critical towards its success. Right. And the fact that they added in the creature comforts that everyone would want straight from day one, where no one's going to have to really go back in and re-engineer this thing to make it do what you want it to do is great. But the fact of it here, they show it right here. This is it connected to a PC. And the guys over, I think it was one of the gaming tech sites, said that they went in, They connected this to a dock station, put it up against a 27-inch gaming monitor. They ran it all day long, and they could barely tell that they weren't on a high-end gaming machine, except for the fact that it wasn't running higher than 1080p graphics at any moment. But they said even at that, it didn't really take away from the gaming experience. So if you're a gamer, and especially a PC gamer, no one has form functioned this type of device that I can think of ever, really, except for some outside manufacturer that required a lot of tinkering. So good for them.
One thing to maybe mention too, in the past, there's always been like a question of how well will these games play, or can they play on Linux? And because this is programmed in Linux. And one thing to mention, which may not be apparent, is that many of the titles on the Steam OS library are compatible with Proton, the tool Proton that Steam released. And if you don't know what that is, Steam released a tool called Proton that works with Steam Play. Basically means that it's a compatibility thing where you run the game through, and any game that would play on Windows can play on Linux. It's a tool that Steam uses that they developed basically to make this work. So that in and of itself makes this even more versatile than it would be otherwise, because it's something that they now have hardware do, which now they're controlling the hardware with AMD. And now they have the software that will run any game, most of the games you would run through your Steam library on PC, to run on Linux, and boom, there you go. So it's
really,
I mean, yeah.
A couple other things to note, right? They kept the headphone jack, they kept the Type-C port. On top of that, they also included full Bluetooth support for headphones. So you'll be able to do that. Also, there's a Steam button, so you'll be able to use all your Steam connections. But I also imagine that one of my first thoughts was, hey, we usually play a lot of Steam games together, Corey and myself, and a few other people. But the difference is that generally I chat through Discord, right? And I imagine I'll be able to load Discord through this without any issue. And that'll be great. I'll just be sitting there playing, wherever I want, and just relaxing and kicking back. And it's great for travelers, great for people on the go. So it looks fantastic. But, the downside of it is, like Corey was saying earlier, is that obviously scalpers got their hands on these things. And when we realized, so let's just set this up, right? Corey and I were out eating lunch. I brought my iPad with me just in case I couldn't get on to purchase it. And we were sitting there. And it literally, I got one in my container within 7 minutes, except it took about 15 different reloads before it finally pushed me to my payment options. And then at 12, I guess it was 1:19 local time, which was 10:19 Pacific Standard Time, which is when it was released. I got the confirmation email saying, hey, you got one. And I was like, oh man, I was like, I got a day one delivery unit, because I think after that you can now go and you can pre-order one, but they're saying it's going to be third quarter 2022 before you get it. Right. So scalpers are having a field day with that, though, as well, because here's some of the things that they're seeing right now is prices that were going as high as $4,100.
Here's one at $4,500.
$4,500.
I'm just looking it up now. I'm on eBay now, just checking it out.
I looked this morning and I saw some there, but I didn't know they already got to $4,500 again. That's ridiculous.
Here's a 512 for 4,500. That's just crazy, people. Let's don't forget, right? This is a PC in your hands, and it's amazing for all the things we talked about, for what it will be able to do for portable gaming. But let's not forget, you can get a desktop for less than $4,500, even with all the problems with GPUs, right? So it's just crazy. I mean, this is not surprising, right? It's not surprising, but it's crazy, as always.
I did have a thought.
Just added it again.
I had a thought, Corey. The thought was to use it for a week and then give it away to a subscriber on the channel. But I would only do that in one case, in only one case. That's if we had over 10,000 subs.
Here's one. Here's one. Valve Steam Deck 512 NVMe gaming system pre-sale, scalped and ready, 20,000.
Oh, come on now, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. So hey, 20. But it's not out of the ordinary, considering how hard it is to still get PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's out there right now. With how hard it is to get your hands on these chips. I'm just excited to say we got one coming day one, which is awesome. Literally had it in.
And it is kind of nice too that they're going to release them when they're made.
Yes.
I don't know if you already said that, but you may have. But when they're made, whenever they're like made in batches or whatever, they're going to just send them out when they're ready. They're not going to have them all like in one giant mass ready to go and then shoot them all out at once. So that's cool too. So if you did pre-order early, then you should be one of the first to get it whenever that is.
I'm assuming day one launch, there's going to be one here. It's because of the timeliness in which we purchased. Because when I put my money in for the $5, it was saying Q1, so 20, or maybe it was 20. No, I was actually earlier than that. I got to go back and look, but it was pretty.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very cool.
It's very
It's
cool.
very cool.
All right, folks. Hey, like, subscribe, follow. Again, we like gaming, so we don't talk about it a lot here because that's what we do to relax. But it's one of those things for us that when we look at something and we talked about it, I think it was maybe a month and a half ago, we had mentioned the fact that Steam might be doing this. There was a lot of Valve was doing this. There was a lot of questions whether or not it was actually going to happen, and it was like boom, announce, drop. They did it. Congratulations to them, successful. Okie doke.
Oakley dokley.
Yeah. Let's see. Where would you like to go? Because we did not discuss what would be the next topic of discussion.
We could go. I mean, I could do one of mine, and we could go Tesla, and then we could go back to the FAA, and then, the FAA, and then go to.
Oh yeah,
chips at the end, I guess.
Actually, wait. There was one night. There was a comment in there that David said he.
David, yes.
669 grams. Nice. Totally. I missed that one. I just saw the bottom response comment to that.
Yeah, it's not going to be super heavy.
It's not going to be super heavy.
That is cool.
One of the first things I'm going to put on it, which is going to be one of these, going to be a strap. There you go. I hope there's a little section to mount a little strap to it because.
Let's just imagine all of the paraphernalia it's going to have. People are going to make all these cases and screen protectors and.
Of course. It'll be a whole nother market.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
They're going to be there. All right. So you said which way did you want to go on the next one?
Yeah, let me talk about this Tesla thing.
Oh, because that kind of hits you, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's exactly.
Are you annoyed?
Kind of the point is, so well, I mean, we'll talk about it. You ready?
Okay, go ahead. Talk about it.
Okay, cool. Yep. So basically, if you've been keeping up with Tesla news, Tesla just announced, I think it was just last week or last Friday, that you could now subscribe or pay a subscription fee rather to have access to full self-driving through your app. If you have a Tesla, you have all your controls, many of the controls for your car and your account through your app, and you can go into your app and opt in to subscribe for full self-driving. It's $200 or $100 depending on some things there. But basically, the idea is you can now, instead of just buying the full package, you can subscribe and have a monthly subscription. Then, of course, the idea is you could maybe unsubscribe when you didn't want to use it. Let's say you want to go on a road trip for a month or whatever, you could buy it and then cancel later, something like that. Might be kind of attractive, and I thought, maybe I'd try it out too. Well, come to find out, basically, that since I have an earlier Model 3, I have the Model 3 long range version, and it's been great for us. But basically, it did not come with the newest version of the hardware installed. And if you're up to date on that, there's different versions of the computer on board, and they've upgraded it from original hardware to 2.5 to now they're running on 3 now. And basically, what's going down here is they're saying if you don't have the hardware compatible with full self-driving, you can pay the subscription fee, but in addition, you will need to pay a $1,500 fee to get the new hardware. That's long and the short. That's it right there.
What?
So on the face of it, you may think, okay, your car was made a few years ago. The technology's changed. They've learned a lot of things. Maybe that old hardware is not compatible. They made their own chip. And now, of course, maybe you're just not eligible, right? Okay, that makes sense. But let me point you to a blog post Tesla made October 19th, 2016, which so there's 2 articles down below that have to do with this, what we're discussing. One is from Electrek with the title "Tesla's charging $1,500 for hardware," and then the other one is a link to the blog post, actually. And in that blog post, it basically says. Here's a quote for you. "We are excited to announce that as of today, all Tesla vehicles produced in our factory, including Model 3, will have the hardware needed for full self-driving capability at a safety level substantially greater than human driver, blah, blah, blah." Okay, end quotes.
Okay.
So basically, it's an official post on Tesla's website that says back in 2016 that everything made after that time, including the Model 3s, would be ready to go.
Okay.
So
what happened?
Well, Yeah, that's kind of the question mark, right? Is like, okay, so basically they're just going back on their what they said, basically, right? So you'll know if you watch our channel more than just today, you'll know we talk about Tesla and Elon here and there,
A
and a lot
lot.
of it is kind of intriguing and mostly positive. Here's here's one that is not, right? So no company's perfect, and this is kind of an example of like, hello, you literally said when I bought the car it would be capable, it'd have all the hardware installed to be able to do self-driving in the future, and it doesn't, or they're not going to do that. Um so for me, given just my background a little bit, I do have that full self, that Model 3 I told you about, but I purchased a package called Enhanced Autopilot, which is no longer a package they offer, but basically I get some of the benefits of what would be considered full self driving, but it's not going to do everything. um
Hmm.
Either way, I don't have the computer on board that I would need, so I need to pay $1,500. So,
Is that's
um,
not, you know what? That's so
it's
unrealistic though. I mean, seriously, that's really
so
unrealistic.
so I can see both sides here. I can see both sides. I can see in 2016 when they made this press release that it was great for me, and another reason, not another reason, but one of the things I did know when I bought it, they said that was the case, and if I ever wanted it, then okay, I could pay the upgrade and it would unlock. I get it.
Okay.
I also know that technology does change, and understanding of needs to hit a certain mark also change. I get that too. I
Okay.
understand. So they've changed their approach. Now you may know also that the car had radar and the cameras on board. They don't even use radar anymore with the newest version of full self driving. They're going full visual
So yours has the radar
inputs.
on it, right?
Mine has the radar. I have the older. Yeah, I have one of the original Model 3s. So I get both sides here. I understand both sides. I get it. It's just unfortunate that they literally made a press release that says, and then did say you'd have all the cars then would have the hardware necessary, and now they don't.
So what do you? So now
So
the
yeah,
question is, you either face the $150 fee per month, fif-
$1,500.
first to upgrade, and $1,500 per month, or $150.
$1,500 to get the new computer, and then $100 a month for me because I have enhanced self driving. I have enhanced autopilot. If I had nothing, I would be $1,500 and $200 a month, but
Hmm.
I don't. So it's $1,500 and then 100 a month
So
to
what's
basically
your
try it
thoughts? Are
out.
you gonna do it or no?
Currently, no, no. I mean, for one, you'll know Mike too. I like driving, so I'm not. I'm not. I know some people with Model 3s that are totally looking forward to doing nothing, sitting in the car and just sitting there and being driven around. That's not quite me. I do like some of the features. When you're on a highway for longer trips,
Mm-hmm.
lane keeping, obviously, it will switch lanes for you if you want to go if you're being slowed down by somebody, it'll go around them. There's some things it does on the interstate that I feel more comfortable with, and longer trips is better, but in general I like driving anyway. So, and the car's pretty zippy.
Right.
So for me, no, but I would have paid $100 for 1 month to try it out for sure. Yeah, I mean, sure, I would have, but I can't see I can't see paying $1,500 to I can't see paying 1,500 to get the equipment, however long that would take to get the appointment done,
Right.
and then paying $100 to just try it out for a month, and then say, it's
So
cool,
so
whatever, I'm gonna cancel, but then I'm out 1,500 still. So
so
for me,
here's something funny to me
it's
though.
just a no, probably. So
Right, here's something funny to me though, right? So that is, they're treating this almost like a cell phone, because it's almost like you went out and you got the brand new, iPhone 10s Max, right? And then 2 years later, they turn around, they said, "Well, we've made internal upgrades, and we're no
Mhm.
longer supporting this through our OS because you don't have the latest microchips on board," which is very rare for a car, because a car is either this model car or that model car, right? It's
Mhm.
never really been, well, we've changed the internals of the car, but we're not leaving you any support, because, well, I've never heard of this happening before, because if they change the engine, your car could either take those parts or not take those parts,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But what if when you bought your iPhone, they said, "We're working on a new piece of software that doesn't work yet, but your phone's gonna be able to do it when it's out."
Oh, I
And
agree.
then later they like, "No, no, no."
I agree. So that what they should really
Yeah.
do, and it's bad PR. Number one, it's bad PR. Number two, it's going to be, many people in lots of the new automotive cars out there that are part of the EV markets that have these self-driving capabilities are going to be also left in the dust as other models get
Yep.
upgrades that they don't. And literally, it's showing you how we're really getting into a new marketplace where hey, your core car is not going to be the same core car as you once knew it just because it looks the same. It's going to have
Hmm.
different, different components that are going to be left in the dirt of this new kind of evolving tech,
Hmm.
industry of self-drive, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
it kind of almost speaks to me in the same way if I could apply this to aviation. It's almost like saying, hey, the guys that bought Garmin 1000s a few years ago, and now there's Garmin 3000s out there, don't
Hmm.
expect to have the same technology on board because it's a 1000 model versus a 3000 model.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
But when the
Yep.
manufacturer tells you you're going to get it and they don't, that kind of gives you the middle finger, and that would really piss me off. Sorry
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
First bad move from Tesla I have seen probably in a while, and
Yep.
they deserve to be openly, I guess,
Yep.
scolded for that one.
Yeah, we'll see what sticks. We'll see if they give some discounts to people like myself that have early adopters or have half of the, we already bought enhanced self-driving, so we got half of what we need. I don't know.
Hmm,
Or maybe nothing. It could very well be the case that there's nothing. If you guys may also maybe not know, but Tesla doesn't even have a PR department.
I did not know
Elon
that.
doesn't have a PR department, right?
Really?
So
I didn't
yeah,
know.
if
I
you
didn't
go
know
to
that.
Tesla and you try to just send anything to Tesla PR,
Right.
there's not Tesla. He got rid of that, so there's no Tesla PR department. So it's another one of these where
Hmm.
good or bad press, there's not a whole lot of news unless it's possibly from Elon because
I wonder.
there's not a person sitting there to handle certain
I
things.
wonder if enough people on social media were the type that actually complained about this, if there would be some sort of change in direction where they would say, okay, look, and this might be a better philosophy for them to turn around and say, hey, to owners like yourself, all right, we'll split the difference on the upgrade. You pay us 750, we'll give you the opportunity to have the upgrade, and then you give us 3 months of installments of say $200. They recoup most of the cost on their equipment. They give you the opportunity to say yes or no, but then you're also now a future upgradable customer, and you've resolved this by coming up with some intermediary, like you kind of worked it out amongst yourselves, where you
Mhm.
gave it a value of about $1,200, and they said, "Okay, how does that sound to you?" I think that's a much better idea than just basically bold-facedly just pushing people aside that just didn't have the tech installed.
And
My
I
two
can see
cents.
that being better for Tesla as well in the long run because who if I ever decided to sell this car,
Yeah.
I would have to now say it needs an
Oh,
upgrade, right?
dude,
So
they
the used
killed your
car market for
resale value.
Teslas, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
If you are
damn.
trying to find a Tesla that's used, now you have to
Mm.
ask the question, what hardware is on board? Because it matters now. It
Wow.
matters now, right? So it is an interesting thing, as you said something a little earlier, and I wanted to comment just on it as well. But you said, it's interesting now that cars where they used to buy a car, and if you want to do major upgrades, you take it to the other. That it wasn't a thing always, right? If you bought a 2003 Camry, it was like that's what you got, and that was it, right? But now in this case Tesla's, right, the software gets upgraded, I mean, multiple times a year, so the car literally is getting better as you own it.
Right, 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 right.
And now the fact that even we're running into a place where you're gonna run out of hardware capability, where the software now needs to do more, but the hardware is now holding it back, that's kind of a new thing. And yeah, what I said
Gee,
about the used car market is definitely something to think in mind. I mean, that's a big thing.
that
So
is, you know what? That made it a lot harder to swallow. And and I almost said an expletive there because that's a real crap move for Tesla. And look, tell us below in the comments what you think because I get it. Not everybody should expect every piece of equipment that you have to survive all, the different years of technological upgrades. That's understandable. But if you turn around and you do make the statement to, to purchasers at the time, this will be available to you in the future, and then you pull that away, that's kind of BS. So
yeah,
that is kind of BS.
but there you go. So yeah.
So hey, 2 votes. Pretty cool. Awesome. All right. So hey, like, subscribe, follow, and then we're gonna follow this one actually a little bit more closely because it really didn't strike home with me until I really thought about what it means to the purchasers of and early adopters. Because well, let's face it, I'm like an early adopter king, and outside of not purchasing that car,
Yeah,
I would be pissed. I would be really pissed. So hey,
it's unfortunate.
yeah, it is. All right, so let's move on. We'll do this one really quick because it's just something that needs to be talked about. By the way, while you were talking, I actually put the cage on the ZV, and it's wonderful.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, here we go. The other day, we just happened to have hit on something that had happened with Rhoades Aviation. their Flight 810, which was an all-cargo 737-200, one of the older models that fell into the sea just outside of Honolulu. Both the FO and the captain were rescued. Matter of fact, the captain was a pretty cool guy. Got his FO out of there on time. And they've now released pictures of it sitting on the bottom of the ocean floor, which, thankfully for the crew, everyone was trained well enough and survived. They egressed the aircraft and they were all moved to safety. However, what we also talked about the other day was the fact that no one really trains for a double engine out, especially in the airlines. It's practically unheard of. But the fact that this aircraft did suffer a double engine out was something that we questioned right off the bat, that, hey, what was the situation that led to this happening? Well, it really doesn't make a difference anymore because the FAA has halted the operation of Rhoades Aviation and Transair. And on top of that, before they pulled their certificate, they gave them a 30-day response time in which they did not respond. So immediately as of right now, within that 30-day period, they have lost their maintenance authority. So they are grounded. They're done.
Yep.
But there was something else also in this article from, what is this one? This is the one from A&I Online, which basically goes on to say that this particular airframe between 2018 suffered, I think, at least 2 single engine failures. One, I think it was at 2,000 feet. And then there was another one. So there was one on April 18th, 2018, that they had an engine failure on that one. And they got 3 backfirings and then a shutdown. And then there was another one on January 30th, 2019, reported another failure of the number 1 engine. Okay, and that report was less detailed. Okay, so I guess going back to, unfortunately, in aviation, accidents do happen, and there's going to be a lot of research into this, but I'm sure there's some FAA inspectors out there that found a problem either in the aircraft's maintenance, possibly, or what they used as far as replacement parts or something else that they said that there was a drive shaft failure off of the first engine, which was possibly part of the issue. But here's the issue: double engine failure, you're out of operation as a company. I think that says a lot without even being too speculative. What's your thoughts there, Corey?
Yeah, same. I mean, stuff does happen, things do break, and of course the FAA has one of the responsibilities to do some oversight in terms of maintenance as well, and that's a good thing, right? So if you're not involved in this sector, it's a good thing the FAA has such a close eye on maintenance. And as Mike said too, a double engine failure on airlines is quite rare, and so
Super.
the fact, I mean, it's very rare that they would both fail at the same time, and we still don't have all the data to really parse through really why both failed. All we really have a little bit of things to say. We don't really know the first one failed, but then it says a few minutes later after the first, the crew reported the second engine was likely overheating and would probably fail as well, which they would obviously keep that one running, but then it didn't. So it's like we've said before also, when we talk about some accidents or incidents in the aviation community, we try to keep an open mind and not jump to too many conclusions too early, right? It's really good to be able to find the full report when it's out, and that sometimes takes years, honestly. So it could be a while before we can really, let's say, close this one. But just as you mentioned there as well, right? They had 30-day period to respond with whatever the FAA had asked them, and they did not. So
no, they didn't.
That in of itself is quite big.
I wonder.
I don't really know. It's not good.
So look, we both speculated at some point that this happens in aviation. Unfortunately, what has happened before is that an aircrew has shut down the wrong engine when trying to go through a checklist, and they've actually killed a good engine when one of the other engines was inoperable. And that's very hard to do sometimes in like a 737, because both engines have different indicators, and even like in the Embraer, it was pretty difficult to do. But you did make very certain of which engine you identified, which one you pulled the handle on, which one you shut off. It was something we practiced a lot. So here's the difference, right? The fact that they didn't even challenge this is number one. Number two, it makes me, and I'm only going to speculate here, makes me think that something was maintenance on engine number 1. They took the parts from number 1 and possibly swapped parts from number 1 to number 2. That's something that they could have done, or that they changed the fuel valving configuration or something upstream or downstream in the fuel system that basically did it, or it was lubrication based, right? They said it was running hot. There could be a couple of reasons there that other things could happen. However, if they were unsafe, and I hate to throw that out there when there's operators doing things like this, but the FAA doesn't take action like this unless they find something that is generally pretty bold faced in saying, look, this is not up to par. So
Mhm.
hopefully for these guys that, the flight crews that are out there that are impacted, sorry guys. Hopefully you guys can, find safer landings there. But difference is maybe it's better in the long run. Who knows?
And one thing to mention, if you guys are just kind of joining us for this particular conversation, just know that Rhoades Aviation was doing some cargo operations.
Yeah.
Right. So this was not a passenger car carrying operation. Just throwing that out there in case you guys are curious.
Yeah. And look, this also goes without saying. This crew still did perform a double engine out ditching in the water, and both survived
At night off Hawaii.
at night off Hawaii, which
Yeah.
again, look, outside of, Miracle on the Hudson, these guys should also be praised for their ability as, routine pilots to achieve that is probably a lot bigger of my mind just explodes when I think about that they still did that. And the fact that you can find the front of this aircraft intact, which means it hit the water pretty good and they both still survived. Still fantastic news. So
Yep.
best thing you could hope for in that situation. Again, we'll follow this one. We'll see where it goes, but it looks like right now there's an immediate conclusion from the FAA that they ceased their ability to operate moving forward. Okay. Let's see. What else do we got here, Corey? You want to talk about Blue Origin, or you want to talk about? Why don't we do the on chip stuff here for the integrated water?
I'll do that one.
Yeah,
sure.
sounds good.
Sure. Yeah. So going this next article, it's from I found it in Tom's Hardware, and it's talking about TSMC. It's one of the manufacturers for superconductors or chips. One of the big manufacturers for chips worldwide, and so when we're talking about chip shortages, TSMC would come up if you kind of follow the supply chain all the way up. But this actually doesn't particularly talk about that in and of itself. It's actually talking about what they're exploring for new designs in the future, which I thought was kind of cool and interesting, and I'll maybe share with you guys too. So if you know a little bit about how computers work, if you were to maybe build your own computer, you would have a motherboard, and then you would put a lot of things on the motherboard, but one of the things you put on was that flat kind of wafer computer chip in a socket, and it'd be flat. And one of the things you need to do when a lot of electricity is running through your computer, it's going to put off quite a bit of heat, and you need to dissipate that heat to make sure no bad things happen in your machine. The least of which it could throttle it would throttle and kind of slow itself down to make itself to survive. But one of the things you can do is do air cooling, right? So many machines have air cooling, but you can also do water cooling. And in this case, we're talking about water cooling. And if you were to need to do water cool this chip, in this case, you would need to have some kind of surface sitting on top in contact with that computer chip to dissipate that heat, and some kind of liquid. And there's various things you can do with that. But what you can see there is there's a chip on a board, and then it's now got this cooling attachment on top of it. This whole article talks about how TSMC in their different designs of computer chips, as computer chips get smaller but also more stacked, there's more things going on this chip, that there's more layers, and the fact that it's easier for heat to dissipate out the top than that layer that's actually touching the cooling part. But everything on the bottom isn't getting cooled as well, and also all the parts that are on the top near the cooling pad are also having all that heat from below have to go through them too as well. So it's just not, as things get thicker and more dense, the cooling just isn't as effective as they would like. So they were trying out a bunch of different designs. And if you go down through here, you'll see that they tried a bunch of different things. One of which was actually seeing if they could maybe make little channels in the silicone itself or the layers right on top of the actual all the part of the chips, and be able to run some kind of non-conductive fluid through there to do the cooling.
Right.
And so I thought it was just a cool thing to kind of really touch on the whole bunch of things you can read about all the process here. But just skimming it through, they did a bunch of different designs, and the most effective one they found was the one with these little like pillars.
Right.
So, and if you show the diagram,
I got the diagram. I got a couple of diagrams.
Yeah. Yep. So I won't go into too much of it. I mean, there's a whole bunch of thing you can read about what components they're using and what actual degrees and the delta of temperature change and all that. That's in here.
Right.
But I thought it was kind of cool to think in the future that we would have integrated fluid or liquid cooling on chip at some point in the future. And this isn't happening anytime soon, but it's super cool, I think.
Oh.
I mean,
It'll
Uh,
happen sooner than you think.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So and what that'll let us do, if you're into overclocking or anybody out there is into overclocking, let you pump up the voltage and get higher speeds out of these things without melting them down. So more cooling is better.
More cooling is better, but I mean, forget
And
about
yeah,
that.
I thought it was cool. So
Yeah,
yeah.
but think about this as far as small liquid cooling units for small microprocessors and cell phones, cars,
Mm-hmm.
places where
Mm-hmm.
there's eminent heat. One of the things I hated about the cockpit of the Embraer 145 was you had massive CRTs, and on a good day there was 112 to 120 degree air pumping out of the back of the
Mm-hmm.
the cockpit. Just sitting there just behind the instrument cluster, the fans would circulate some of that air sometimes, and it would be hotter than you could even imagine. And to me, I just keep thinking of that everything you see in today's marketplace that's so big, like your PC being water cooled, mine is water cooled, yours is water cooled. I got the Kraken on mine, which is nice. Enjoy it. Does a great job on my i9, even though I don't overclock very much, but it works, really well. But I imagine this is all going to trickle down into the average consumer's hands at some point, and they're always going to try to make it smaller. So at that level, I think, hey, oh man, the
Yep.
next Steam Deck will probably be water cooled.
Yep. Yeah. As technology gets better, things will get smaller and be more energy efficient. So and they've already seen a lot of things in mobile devices where you have surprisingly fast chips in mobile devices. And then, but they do tend to get a bit warm, and ironically, if you go out there is a number of custom designed water cooled phones for gaming.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some of those. They're fascinating to just kind of read about. Nothing that be too practical, right? But nevertheless, a way to do these more efficient cooling on chip again leads you to be able to pump more energy through there and get faster performance with at least the same temperatures, let's call them.
Right.
If you put more energy through them. So, but yeah, you could. It'll be cool to see what they do with this stuff.
It's funny because Linus always buys some stuff off of Wish. If you guys pay attention, Linus Tech Tips and stuff like that, and they have been liquid cooling some of the strangest stuff, and they always just try out like these $15 cooling systems, and they're like, some are garbage and some are awesome. So it's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We got one last thing to talk to you guys about today, and that's really interesting to me because every other minute I look at this stuff and I'm excited for the future of gaming and what it could mean for us, especially if we get chips cooler. So yeah, awesome. And I guess the last thing we got to touch on is we got another billionaire going to space, which is cool.
Yep.
So tomorrow, and we've covered this on the channel a couple times. Tomorrow, and this is just open conversation really quick here. Jeff Bezos is going to take his shot as being one of the first, second billionaires now, because he got beat by Richard Branson to take a shot on his on his rocket, and notably, he's going a couple of 1,000 feet higher, right? I think he's going about 7 or 10 miles higher, right?
It says, I'm looking at this thing here. It says it's 350,000 feet is the projected apogee.
Okay.
So, yep.
Interesting. So the nice part about it is I think right now they are scheduled for leaving Van Horn, Texas at 9 a.m., which is more power to them. They're going to be first human flights, and I guess how many other astronauts going to be on board here?
I think it's 4 people total on board.
4 people.
There's the there was the 18-year-old guy. I'm trying to think his name. Oliver, 18. Physics student at the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands. Then there's Wally. We talked about Wally, right?
That's right. Yeah, she's like 82. She can be the
aviator.
The oldest lady to go into space. Right?
Yep.
If not the oldest person, I think. I don't know.
Then we got good old Jeff and his brother Mark. So, there's 4 people on board. Yep.
Now, notably, the Blue Origin delivery system is a lot different from that of Virgin Galactic, which actually rides on the underbelly of one of the largest aircraft ever produced, and has a totally different launch system. So this is going to be more of a vertical, full, straight up shot. So they're going to get the full feature ride. But I don't know, man. That Virgin Galactic, when I think about it, is probably a little bit better bang for the buck because you still get to ride on a Mach 3, Mach 2, machine before you go vertical, and that could be pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to Jeff getting to space. There's some people again that have still signed petitions that don't want him back from space. You can see further old episodes that we did on that. Which, hey, you're Jeff Bezos, and you're
whatever. I mean, that's pretty unrealistic, but all right.
It happened.
We're gonna not let him back. Well, gravity says he's coming back one way or another. So there you go.
And let's just say this: we wish him a great journey. I'll be watching.
Of course.
I'll be watching live, so that'll be fun. And I don't think, you don't want to go live for this, do you? No, 9 a.m. It's gonna be 10 a.m. our time.
Oh, for us?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I currently no.
No. All right. Well, hey, good luck to them. Blue Origin gets their groove on. This is important for Jeff. He said he's leaving Amazon to take the reins of Blue Origin. Basically, he's got a lot to lose here. Forget about the fact that he's putting his life on the line, because yes, that's exciting, but they've perfected this pretty well. But the difference is that he's got to show that there's going to be some value left in in Blue Origin, and he's got to build up some of this value, because they have not landed some of the contracts that they really thought they would at this point. And again, it's nice to have the competition. We wish him well, so I hope it all goes well.
Of course. Oh yeah. And anytime they go up, we wish them a safe travel for me as well. And looking forward to whatever they can glean out of this for work purposes.
Yeah,
of course.
Unless it's a satellite. If it's a needless satellite, I hope that thing blows up every time.
One thing to note, if got any people out there that are particulars about it, right?
Yeah.
We will recall that Jeff Bezos is going to be going above the Kármán line.
Yes.
Right, the 62-mile barrier, the 100-kilometer barrier, while Mr. Branson made it 53 kilometers.
Yes.
So you get in a little quibble there about if he actually went to space or not, but there you go. Jeff is going to make sure that's not even a thing. So because he's going up to 105, as it was. I'm trying to find it.
You know what?
Yeah. So, but there you go.
They both made it to space. Come on. I mean, look, he's not spending an extra whole day up there. So then you could be like, oh, I want to. Okay, if this was the 1960s and you're like, we're looking between Gagarin and Sputnik and who went higher, faster, longer. Look, you're all going to space. You're all having a good time. Relax, chill out you're
all spending billions.
Yeah, you're all spending your billions. Just enjoy yourself and say you went to space. Everybody have a glass of whatever afterwards and enjoy. That's it. So
it'd be cool.
Unless you're a satellite, then I hope again it explodes and we get it on video one day.
Oh
yeah. Because a good rocket explosion is, it's worthwhile. Anyhow, unmanned. I said it's a satellite.
Don't go crazy in the comments.
Yeah, don't go crazy. I said it twice now. If it's unmanned, even better. No, always better. The only one that's acceptable. So.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
All right, folks, we're done for the day. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for showing up. I got nothing left. You got anything left in the tank?
Negative. Good to go. That's it.
All right. We will look forward to seeing you guys. We know tomorrow's the off day. We'll look forward to Wednesday. Wednesday. All right, everybody, take care. Have a great day. We'll catch you real soon.
Excellent.
Bye.
Take it easy.
Bye. See ya. Adios. Cage is pretty hot. Oh, and unmanned satellite, just so everybody knows, the only thing that's acceptable.
Yeah.
Please.
Do not want to misconstrue our comments.
No misconstruction there. There we go.
But yeah, I'll be watching it.
So. All right, man.
See good old Jeff rocket off. Yep.
We'll be out of this. See you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. Bye.
Have a good day.